Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Thursday, November 20th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and David C. is back as he is on most Thursdays as well, ready to break down this Thursday NHL card. It's a big one on tap for this Thursday. We got 12 games on the board. We'll get to those in just a moment. Quickly, we'll look back first on what we saw last night. And what we saw last night was a horrific fucking call as far as best bets concerned for me with Edmonton last night. Very, very unfortunate there to see them just start the game the way they did. Down 2-0 to the Capitals. Credit to them, they actually battled back, but too many defensive woes still for the Edmonton Oilers, and Skinner didn't have a great game in net. And just the problems continue for Edmonton, and this just absolutely horrendous schedule for them, where now they're playing again tonight against Tampa, and it's going to be their 6th game in 9 nights, which is just absolutely insane when you think about it. Just ridiculous what the schedule makers have done to this Edmonton Oilers team. But that doesn't fully excuse them from playing the way they have been. But they lose 7-5 last night to the Washington Capitals. Certainly no sweat if you had the over last night. Other than maybe the Carolina-Minnesota game, there was really no sweat if you had the over in any of the games last night. It was definitely a higher scoring night across the NHL, but give Washington credit for that. Back-to-back wins for them. They had struggled to put 2 wins in a row together, but they get the 7-4 win last night against the Edmonton Oilers. Typical Buffalo Sabres, right? You beat Edmonton 5-1 at home, and then you play Calgary. That's a game you should have. Calgary's got 2 road wins on the year. They just got beat by Chicago. They're rolling in on a back-to-back, and Buffalo loses 6-2 to the Calgary Flames. If that doesn't sum up the Buffalo Sabres, nothing does. How you could beat Edmonton 5-1, turn back around and lose 6-2 at home to the Calgary Flames. Too many issues as far as giveaways really hurt the Buffalo Sabres in that game. I'll say this, my personal opinion on the on Devin Cooley, who is the backup to Dustin Wolf in Calgary, it's improving. I give this guy credit. Actually, the more I watch him, the more he's playing good. You know, he has had multiple solid performances for the Calgary Flames this year. In those few instances, he's been given the opportunity to play over Dustin Wolf, and he was very solid again. 28 saves on 30 shots last night. Calgary getting the 6-2 win there. Look, we'll take it. It was a best bet for Alex. I was on the Minnesota Wild as well. We'll take it. But boy, oh boy, we owe all of it to Jesper Wallstedt. He was absolutely incredible. Excuse me, in that game to preserve the victory for the Minnesota Wild. 4-3 is what it ended. He was brilliant. Brilliant. I mean, over 40 shots. Yes, his shutout streak got snapped, but boy, oh boy, he kept Minnesota in it, gave them a chance, and obviously they were able to get the 4-3 win in that game. All credit, again, to Wallstedt, who was very good in between the pipes. And then Anaheim, man, they just keep rolling with a 4-3 win over Boston. I got to get a drink of water. So, Alex, your thoughts on what we saw last night?
Yeah, absolutely. It was an interesting game. And like I said, we talked about with that Carolina-Minnesota game. That was the game that I watched start to finish. And like I said, Jesper Wallstedt just has looked tremendous over these last few starts. And you know, it was kind of a slow roll for him early, but now that he's starting to get, you know, his legs under him, he's looking, like I said it, you know, talking about yesterday, he's the goalie of the future that everybody had been talking about, especially up here, and Wild fans have been hoping and raving for the last couple of years, waiting and behind, you know, Fleury in his final swan song. Now we're seeing Wallstedt really emerge, and now you have a quality tandem here with Gustafsson and Wallstedt, because right now, the way that he's playing, you can firmly consider him as a 1B option to Gustafsson. He's not just a number 2 backup. And that's something that they were hoping to bring him along in that role at some point, maybe next season, the year after. That was the reason for them extending Gus another 5 years. Now that Wallstedt's kind of playing a little bit ahead of schedule, you don't want to rush him. No reason to start, you know, giving him 10, 15 starts out of the next 20, 25 games. But you can obviously, like I said, mix and match and play the averages now if you're John Hines and company, having a kid like Wallstead who's playing very well. So Wild fans should be happy. We did get the first goal of the game, did get Minnesota first goal in first period, but we did not get Matt Boldy as the first goal scorer. He scores the second goal of that contest, a nice shorthanded one, and then, of course, comes through with the winner in the shootout as well. So a very entertaining game. Terry Edelman got, I'm sure, his birthday wish of a Wild win. But they didn't make it easy for themselves, and kind of kicking myself that I didn't have a little piece of the draw there. Like I did have the draw in Anaheim and Boston, and that was a game where it just felt, throughout that third period, it was tied 3-3 for the longest, and you're just hoping, okay, just get me in the OT, But that goal comes in late by Anaheim, and what a win for Anaheim. How many times in the last couple of weeks have we said, well, this is a tough spot. They've played a lot of games. This is a young team. Maybe this is the night they fall apart, and to get another win like that, like I said, Quenneville has these kids playing with full of energy, full of confidence, and they're never out of a game at any point.
They aren't. That was another overcome, some adversity, and find a way to win that game last night. So really well done by the Anaheim Ducks. It's funny with David on the show. We're from Raleigh, big Carolina Hurricanes fan. I've bet against Carolina just twice this year because you obviously all know that I really like that team a lot. They're my pick to be in the Stanley Cup final this year. Carolina against Vegas. I picked Carolina, Vegas, Stanley Cup final. So I don't like betting against them because I think they're a really good team. But 2-0 this year I think I took Edmonton against Carolina in what was a very tough spot recently for the Hurricanes. And then last night again, the goalie got it for us. But again, it was kind of that didn't love the spot for Carolina coming off the Boston game. Minnesota played Carolina tough down in Carolina. Minnesota had played well against Carolina at home in recent years. So all of it added up to me that I thought there was really good value on the Wild last night as a home dog, and Alex agreed. But like I said, Carolina probably deserved a better fate still. That was a phenomenal performance by Wallstead and the reason why they got the 2 points in that game for sure. David, your thoughts on what we saw last night?
Yeah, it was a tough one for us. Just a great performance from Wallstead. The last 45 minutes of that game, it was just all Canes. Wild only put up a half of an expected goal in that last 45 minutes, including OT. But, I mean, you couldn't really get it past him. The only way you could get it past him was Jackson Blake, the hometown kid, jamming it through his pads at the end. He had a great game. I think it'll continue, but yeah, it was a tough one. I think tomorrow's a good bounce back spot against Winnipeg, though.
Well, that's Carolina off a loss. I'm not interested betting against them. That's for sure. We've talked about that for the good teams off a loss. It's been just a handicapping staple for me that good teams off a loss. I usually like to either find a way to back them or just leave it alone. All right. Let's get into Thursday. We got a huge card. We will begin with Columbus, Toronto. We've got even money here, -110 on both sides, 6.5 the total. I actually like Toronto a little bit here. I like the idea of a team snapping a long losing streak and basically finding a way to win. And I think that could continue. Now, they've got a ton of injuries. We know that. I'm not going to rhyme them all off because, people are aware of it. Matthews, Tanev, Carlo on the blue line. Matthew Nyes may not play again tonight. We'll have to wait and see on that. But my philosophy usually, backing a team after they have a long losing streak snapped. And I think you could see that here. So I'm on Toronto. It's a small bet. Obviously, with all the injuries, you can't go big on Toronto, but I'm on them here, -110 for a small bet. I'm off the overrun, though, for Toronto, at least full game. I'm going to dabble in the first period over because it's 9-1 to the first period over in the last 10 Toronto games. So I will get on the first period over, but not the full game this time around. Toronto -110. And I do have to sprinkle on the draw. We have had some draw history here with the Jackets and the Leafs. Jackets have played some overtime games recently, so have the Leafs. So I am also on the draw here in this one. Alex, your thoughts on Columbus, Toronto?
Yeah, this one was on the cusp of being added to my draw list. There's 4 plays that I have draws on. This didn't make the cut, but I do like that first period over. I even grabbed -130 with the over 1.5. You see it higher than 135, I'd say wait and grab it. a little bit cheaper a couple minutes into the contest. But I'm right there with you on being off of the full game overlook, especially with potentially Jet Greaves getting the start. We like Greaves. He seems to be getting into better form. And I think Toronto, they need a game. It's funny. Most of the times when we see the Leafs win 3-2, 2-1, tight games like that, it's usually because they've been playing like crap. A good defensive effort and a good solid 3-2 win for them might do them some good. Surely would lower the blood pressure of Craig Berube if they could have a game where it's not just back and forth defensively, but they get the victory there. So, like I said, staying off the full game over, but do like the first period over. Got a great run with that. And like I said, didn't like the draw pregame. Maybe I'll take a shot in live. That's something that we've been doing and grabbing some decent prices and some decent looks. Getting those live draws as well as betting the pregame.
Yeah. Like I said, it's I think everybody, the positivity coming out of the win. Now, St. Louis obviously has struggled too. It's not like they beat a behemoth the other night, Toronto, but everyone's saying how they've really, really come out of that game thinking we found our identity again, solid defensive effort, which was great to see. And everyone's saying, but it doesn't mean anything. Well, we snapped the losing streak. It's a huge win for us to try to get things going in the right direction, but it doesn't matter if we don't build on it. And that's kind of what gave me the push to maybe look at the Leafs here in this spot that, hey, yeah, you won one, but you've still dug yourself a bit of a hole. You got to try to get it going and put wins together. And it is worth noting for Columbus, this is 3 and 4 nights for them as well. It's not the easiest spot for the Jackets here. David, what do you think, Columbus, Toronto?
Yeah, I'm on Columbus here. The Maple Leafs are at a tough spot. I mean, they're down Nyes now. They're down Matthews. Wall's coming back, which I think can be decent, but at the same time, he's not quite back in the rhythm yet. He's been all right so far, nothing crazy. But I think, like I said last week, I think we need to put a little respect on Jet Greaves' name. He saved 27 goals above expected in 32 starts the last 3 years. I mean, that's just extremely impressive. I don't think he's quite being priced to the level that he's played over a decent sample now. I think the Leafs are in a little bit of trouble. They've looked a little questionable on the DN without Tanev. I think they're giving up a lot worse chances than the expected numbers would say. I don't like buying Toronto right now. They got the overtime win against the Blues, but I think that the fortune stops there. I think they keep trending down.
Yeah, one thing I will say about Joseph Wall, his 2 stars with Marlies, his conditioning were not good. Numbers were not good. 0-1-1, an 885 save percentage, and 372 goals against average. Gave up 6 goals in those 2 starts. So I mean, like you said, it's just more of him just trying to get his feet wet and get some heat under him before getting called back up. But you would have liked to have seen him have one of those 2 stars be a little bit better.
Yep. Yeah, no doubt. He was good against St. Louis. I thought that was a really good game from him the other night. So much better. But like I said, you're right. He's trying to work his way back. As far as props in this game, Werenski's got goals in back-to-back games for the Blue Jackets. So if you want to ride the streak there, certainly something to consider. Obviously, with the injuries for the Leafs, you're going to have just a ton of opportunities for other players. Nick Robertson, I still think he's going to score eventually. With all the minutes he's playing, the opportunity he's getting. It sounds like Calle Yarncroke going back to Calle. He could be in the top 6 tonight for Toronto. So there's probably a little value with him as well, if that is indeed going to be the case. Miles Wood might be with Monahan and Kent Johnson on the top line for Columbus. So there's another one to maybe look at here tonight in this game. All right, next up, St. Louis, Philadelphia. Philly, minus 120. Home favorites, 5.5 the total. These are two, St. Louis is struggling. We know that. Losing to Toronto the other night. Philadelphia is off a 5-1 loss to Dallas. Now back home. I mean, I lean Flyers here in this spot. Dan Vladar is going to be in net. But what I really like is, we got draw indicators galore with Blues and Flyers. They just went to a shootout in St. Louis when they played recently, 6-5. 3 of the last 4 meetings have gone past regulation. St. Louis has been in a bunch of games going past regulation of late. Philly as well. everything's pointing toward the draw being very live here. And I think it's definitely worth a look here. The draw at a very nice plus price, plus 340. Alex, or plus 320. Alex, what do you think here? Blues, Flyers.
Yeah, I bet the draw yesterday. This was one of 4 bets that I actually placed. One of 5 bets I placed yesterday, and grabbed that draw at plus 320. Figured that would drop. I'm seeing some right at plus 300, 310. So shop around, get the best price available. 320 is still available at FanDuel. Also did grab over 1.5 minus $1.10. Just thought that was a fairly cheap price. St. Louis on a little streak with the first period over. Then Philly plays a little bit tighter to the vest, but minus $1.10, I figured that was worth a shot. You can always watch and wait and try and grab something at plus money too.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. I am on first period over too. This is just simply St. Louis is on a multi-game first period over streak. And both teams are off losses. So with that in mind, you would expect maybe both teams with a little bit more urgency to get on the board early, which could help that first period over. What do you think here, David? St. Louis, Philly?
Yeah, I got a little bit on the Blues at plus 110. I think they're due for a little bit of some positive regression. I don't think they're quite as good as their numbers indicate, but they're 11th in expected goal share at even strength. Obviously, the goaltending is letting them down. I don't even know if Hofer. I think he might be an upgrade at this point. So, yeah, just a small bet. I don't think I can stomach anything decent on the Blues, but yeah, I think they get it done. Get a little revenge for last week.
I mean, Binnington's going through his struggles. That's one thing. I don't know if Hofer being an upgrade necessarily, but I do get your point in that. I do get your point in that, though. Like I said, and that's the risk you run with a Binnington, right? He's going to give you some up and down moments. But he's one of those guys. When he's hot, he can be one of the best in the league. But when he gets cold, yeah, he can really struggle and it can labor on for a bit.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I said, I think with Hofer's been. I don't want to say he's been a lot better, but he's been at least a little bit more serviceable the last couple times. He got off to a really bad start. One thing not to sleep on, and it's kind of why I didn't take the Flyers. First of all, the value is St. Louis. I think if you're looking at the price, there's some value on the Blues for as bad as they've been, because now they've been devalued. And they do get, won't you be my neighbor? Jake Neighbors is back here in the lineup tonight for the St. Louis Blues. And you talk about a guy they've missed. No doubt, guy that plays on your top 6, top line it looks like is where he'll be in his return tonight. Jim Montgomery not hesitating, putting him right up there immediately on the top line with Robert Thomas and Jimmy Snuggerud. So that obviously is a big boost, no doubt, for the St. Louis Blues. Probably will sprinkle on the goal prop for Neighbors too as a result. All right, Washington and Montreal. Montreal minus 130, home favorite, 6 the total. All right, Capitals finally won 2 games in a row. That was a big issue I had with them going into that game against Edmonton. It had been a long time since they had put 2 good games in a row together, but they did. They beat LA, following it up last night with a 7-4 win against Edmonton. This is a pretty tough spot now. You're rolling in late to Montreal, cross-border travel. They probably got in late. I'm hearing rumblings they got in like 2 a.m. Here to Montreal. Now the Canadians are rested. Urgency on this losing streak for the Canadians. I think it's set up perfectly. And normally I don't like backing teams on a losing streak. I usually like to see them win before I back them. But this is a really, really difficult spot for the Capitals. Montreal's rested. Montreal at home, I think, looking to bounce back. And they played well enough against Columbus in their last game. They lost that game in a shootout, showing glimpses of maybe about to come out of this little funk that they've been on. I definitely like Montreal here, minus 130. I think it's a good price, good spot to be back in the Canadians. I like this over as well. We're still going to ride. This is another team like Toronto. It's cooled off with Toronto, but Montreal, they've been one of the strongest over teams lately, 9-1 to the over in their last 10 games. So we're going to ride the Montreal overs one more time here in this one. So, yeah, Montreal minus 130. Definitely think the Habs, this is their spot. And it doesn't hurt either that this will be Montreal's first time playing Washington since, that's right, first round playoff series last year when these two teams met head-to-head, and the Capitals knocked the Canadians out of the playoffs last year in the first round. So really like this spot. Montreal minus 130 for me here in this one. And yeah, there you go. As Jonathan says in the chat, I don't know what happened to his name. Show me the money hockey betting is now what it's showing as, but that's Jonathan Davis. Capitals 0-3 on the second night of back-to-backs this year. Lindgren has played in all three, and yes, it is Charlie Lindgren in net tonight. And the over's 2-1 in those games. So fits perfectly with what I like, Habs and the over. Alex, what do you think here? Washington, Montreal.
Yeah, so I'm looking at this over by fact. The end game, I'm going to try and maybe get 5.5, not get plus money with the 6. I'm going to get a little bit of a better adjusted first period over price as well. And I did sprinkle on the draw here at plus 330. It's not one of my favorites, but like I said, Caps and Habs, we've seen them play some tighter games. Like I said, on the second of back-to-backs, I see this maybe be in a game where if it's tied late, we may not see a lot of pressure and pressure late. So a little bit of the draw, but over by fact the end game.
Yeah, and 4 straight in Montreal have gone over as well between the Capitals and the Canadiens. David, what do you think here? Washington, Montreal.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this is a dream spot for the Habs. Capitals are off that flying game against the Oilers last night. I think that's honestly a big deal. Playing the Oilers in prime time. It was a fast game. It's hard to move on from that game and cross the border, get in late. It's just a really bad spot, and against a team that's been waiting for you for a couple days. Yeah, I think it's a great spot for the Habs. You got Lindgren in net. It's been fairly obvious that they've struggled a little bit more with him in net versus Thompson. I mean, Logan Thompson, when he's playing well, they're so hard to beat. That's why we've seen the Capitals on a lot of these back-to-backs. They're a little bit older in some spots. You can see that a lot of these situational spots have a decent effect on them. So yeah, I love the Canadiens tonight up to minus 140.
All right, like in Montreal here, David, as well. Yeah, as far as props for me in this game, Zach Bolduc is with Caulfield and Suzuki. A little bit of a shift here from Marty St. Louis, trying to shake things up, get his team going. I think this may be the night Zach Bolduc gets going. Remember, he had a hot start, cooled off. Maybe now on the top line with this opportunity, it gets him going just a little bit for the Montreal Canadiens. So going to take a shot that Bolduc, gets on the score sheet here tonight. Oh, by the way, I'm going to dabble too. Montreal first period puck line, just to dabble at a really good plus price on that maybe they could pounce early in the first 20 minutes of this game as well. I think this is a spot to maybe look at a first period puck line here as well with Montreal. You can get that at plus 150 for the Habs first period puck line, minus a half. All right, next up, we've got the Islanders and Red Wings. Detroit, minus 130, home favorite, 6 the total here in this game. Sorokin and Gibson confirmed to be the starting goaltenders. I got to admit, I think there's a horrible spot just on paper for the Islanders. They've had a very good road trip coming off the win against Dallas. And think about the circumstances of that win against Dallas. A game where, they had the lead most of the game. Dallas makes it 3-2. Then the incident happens with Rantanen and Romanov. Romanov into the boards. Rantanen given a 5-minute major for that incident. A very unfortunate injury for Romanov there with that happening. So that got everyone riled up. And then 5-minute major for the Stars down 3-2. You just figured game over. Islanders are going to win. And then it looked like Dallas tied it, believe it or not, shorthanded in the dying seconds, but it was reviewed. It was deemed to be goalie interference. The goal was taken off the board, and by virtue, the Islanders hang on for a 3-2 win. So that was a crazy, chaotic finish to that game against Dallas. And now you're traveling, again over another time zone. It's already been a very long road trip. You're finally getting home after this. I just worry about this particular matchup and spot for the Islanders, especially because Detroit got embarrassed by the Islanders last month, 7-2 for the Islanders last month when they played. So I think Detroit's the side here. I'm on the fence about whether I take them, but I think they're worth a shot here, minus 130 in this spot. This is a lean to the draw, but again, there's just so many other draws I like more than this one, but certainly don't mind to look toward maybe the draw in this game. And I'm going to go with the over here because I could sense this game getting a little bit chaotic. Not to mention, obviously, we've seen Detroit starting to score goals at home and trend over at home as well. So I will dabble with the Red Wings and the over here. Alex, what do you think? Islanders, Red Wings.
This is one that I was going to just kind of wait and see what happens. Like I said, based off of with the Isles, that was a wild and crazy game, and you want to see where their kind of momentum in their heads at in this contest. But I would lean toward Detroit as well. I'm just kind of scrambling. I wouldn't be playing it in regulation. like you mentioned, this is this is a Islander, so it's a team that certainly could in this spot play a close game. I'm taking maybe a gander at first goal, first period for Red Wings plus 115. That may be something I bet on and just kind of go from there and adjust live. But I could definitely see the Wings getting on the board first. So first goal in the first period for Detroit plus 115. That's the price at MGM.
All right, there we go. First goal, first period, which is a Alex B. Smith special, which is a market he gets involved with quite a bit. David, what do you think here? Isles Wings.
Yeah, I think this is a tough spot for the Islanders. I think this is 7th straight road game. I think they were 5-1 in the 5-1 in their first 6 on the road.
That's another thing, David, too, about this spot too. Like for the Islanders, if they lose, this has still been a great road trip for them, even if they lose. Yeah.
But in those in the last 6 games, they actually have a -10 expected goal margin. I think they've been against some tough teams, so they definitely showed up. You had the late win against the Stars the other night. I had the Stars in that one, so that one was a little bit of a heartbreaker. But yeah, definitely some close games. I think this is a tough spot for them. The Red Wings are playing their best hockey right now. For the first couple month or so, they were kind of a power play merchant team, but they've turned it on a little bit in the last few games. Yeah, I think this is a good spot for the Red Wings at home.
All right, yeah. As far as props, of course, Emil Heineman. We don't even need to wonder if I'm betting that. Of course, you guys know I am. And Emmett Finney, we're gonna jump back on the Express with Emmett Finney. He finally started to starting to find some offensive mojo. So definitely those are the props that I'm most interested in with that game. And as I mentioned, the only fear I have is Sorokin's been so damn good. Like he's got a sub-2 goals against average in his last 4 or 5 starts. He's been excellent. He has turned it around after a bit of a slow start. But I think the Islanders might subject him to more high danger as far as chances given up to Detroit. So because, again, this is end of a long-ass road trip fatigue that I think could set in here for the Islanders tonight in this one. All right, New Jersey and Florida. Florida -160, home favorites, 6 the total. Both of these teams are banged up. There's still, of course, no Brett Pesce for the Devils. Jack Hughes still out for the Devils. Florida, now E2 Kuhlman Luostarinen is injured. They're still missing Barkov and Kachuk and so many of the other players that have been out for a long period of time as well. So both of these teams are a mash unit right now. I think it's a coin flip game. And the one thing I noticed is New Jersey's beaten Florida 3 straight times down in Florida. Pretty crazy. Devils have had success in this building. You got Jake Allen in net. He right now is better, flat out, than Jacob Markstrom. That's the way it is right now. He is the better goalie at the moment. I will take a small shot with New Jersey here in this price range, plus 140. But what I like just as much, this draw. New Jersey, my goodness, 5 of the last 6 Devils games have gone past regulation. They have been draw magnets of late. I would expect this game to be very close, very competitive, and I would expect New Jersey to be better after losing the other night to Tampa Bay. And I don't know if Florida's a win by big margin type of team right now with all the injuries that they've got. So Devils and draw, dog and draw split for me here in this one. Alex, Devils, Panthers.
Which team has a player missing with a weirder injury? Is it Jack Hughes cutting his hand in the steakhouse, or is it E2 Luostarinen getting into
barbecue
some kind
incident.
of barbecue incident?
Steak or something on a barbecue.
Yeah, what is going on with these guys? I don't know, but
Stay out of the damn kitchen is what you tell them.
Yeah, right. This is odd, but this is one where I did bet the draw yesterday. Like I said, with New Jersey, kind of rolling with your old bumper stumpers there, right? Not out until we lose 2. We've been riding this streak pretty hot, and it did fall apart against Tampa Bay. But like I said, Florida as a team, I think they're kind of in a closer bond to right now. And like I said, this is a Florida team. Still don't really trust them at this price, right? -160. They still just they aren't back to being Florida yet. They're still just like I said, and those pieces missing. And I don't know if they're going to really get back into that rhythm. It seems like not only with the injuries, but just like I said, you played a lot of big time hockey. You're back-to-back champions. We're just seeing this kind of a general, lull, if you will, at times with this Panthers team. So I do like this draw. I did grab a piece of the Devils. I grabbed plus 130. We're seeing it kind of, like I said, dwindle around, shop around for the best price available because I'm seeing some plus 125s. Money is definitely coming in on New Jersey. And like you said, you can back Jake Allen right now because he is the better of the two goaltenders. With me liking dog and draw, I will take a shot with Dawson Mercer to get the overtime goal at 75-1.
Yeah, there's some value on the Devils props. I like Connor Brown is up to the second line with Mercer and Meyer. So not only Mercer, but Brown is worth a look on that second line. I'm going to go back to the well with Arseny Gritsyuk, with Hischier and Bratt on the top line for New Jersey. And for Florida, Mackie Samoskevich is with Lundell and Marchand. So, there's some really good value there as far as he is concerned, as long as he stays up on that group with those two guys. Maybe Evan Rodriguez, too, because suddenly he scored 2 of the last 3 games for Florida. So those are some of the props I'm interested in here with this game. David, what do you think? Devils, Panthers?
Yeah, I got nothing here. There's too many guys out, too many uncertainties. Allen in that, I agree, is an upgrade right now. I don't think I can get anywhere with this one. Too many weird injuries, too many weird things going on with both teams. The Devils still give me some concerns without Pesci on the defensive end. I think they're playing all right, and I'd probably lean them in a game of uncertainties. I'd probably lean with the dog, but that's about it.
Yeah. Like I said, I think look, New Jersey's vulnerable too right now, but this is about minus 160 with a Florida team that hasn't hit on all cylinders, still has a lot of injuries themselves, and that's what's got me on New Jersey a little bit at this price, along with, of course, the draw. The draw is definitely, like I said, New Jersey's been playing so many overtime games of late. Wouldn't shock me to see that continue. Now, Bobrovsky's in net. This could go one of either two ways for him. Like, he was not good against Vancouver, even though they won. Like, that was not vintage Bobrovsky. A couple of those goals he would have liked to have back. He would probably tell you that. 5 goals he gave up in that game. So he could either, and he's had not the absolute best start to his season either. So it could be his struggles continue, or, knowing how good a goalie he is, competitor he is, he bounces back, maybe does play great tonight. We'll see after subpar effort against Vancouver. But like I said, I think there's enough concern and vulnerability with the Panthers as a minus 160 favorite to take a shot with New Jersey here. All right, Edmonton, Tampa Bay. We've got Tampa Bay minus 170 home favorites. The total here, 6 shaded to the over. The schedule makers, look, they don't have it out for any teams. They just put the schedule together, but they end up just really putting certain teams in brutal situations. And when you look at Edmonton, this is going to be their 6th game in 9 days, and all of it with travel in between games. So this is just as tough and brutal as it gets right now for them. When you look at, Columbus at home, then you go to Philly, Columbus on the road, Carolina on the road, Buffalo on the road, Washington on the road, 3 and 4, 3 games in 4 nights, 6th game in 9 nights. And again, all of this with travel. It's as grueling a scheduling swatch as I've seen a team be given. They've been dealt a shit hand, the Edmonton Oilers, as far as their schedule. They really have. And now they're on a back-to-back, 7-4 loss to Washington. Another disappointing effort, especially at the defensive end of the ice. And obviously not going to get any easier here having to play Tampa Bay. Meanwhile, you flip it around to Tampa Bay. I think I've read this is something like their 5th game in 12 days. So you talk about totally different ends of the spectrum. Tampa with all this days between games, and here's Edmonton, 6th game in 9 nights. So very, very difficult spot. Calvin Pickard on a back-to-back should get the start here for the Oilers tonight in this game. And his last 3 starts have been rocky. 0-3, 4.85 goals against average, 821 save percentage. So, but again, you can't just blame it all on Pickard, just like you can't blame it all on Skinner. The defense has been a big part of the struggles for the Edmonton Oilers. No question about that. Oilers have won once in Tampa since 2012, says Nick Alvento. Yeah, it's just, I think there's a part of me that says Edmonton's just so disgusted with that game last night. Watch them come out, play balls to the wall, and give themselves a chance, but I just can't take them on back-to-back with the struggles. 6th game in 9 nights. Just too much, in my opinion, to overcome. What I will take, though, is the over. 6 minus 120, because I do think Edmonton, one thing they are doing is scoring, and they showed you that last night. And again, there's still no Vic Hedman on the blue line here, just placed on IR by the Lightning earlier today. So I do think the Oilers could score it tonight, but Will they keep Tampa Bay in check? I'm not so sure about that with that defense and with Pickard, who again has some rough numbers in his last 3 starts. So I like the over here, over 6 minus 120. One thing that's worth mentioning for Tampa too is one of my favorites, one of my favorite underrated players in the entire league, back from injury tonight for Tampa Bay, Nick Paul. Been waiting for Nick Paul to come back, and he's finally back for the Tampa Bay Lightning, which is great to see. I almost think I should just, back in the lineup, just out of, the great success we've had with him in the past with props and bargain bins. Just a welcome back Nick Paul goal prop bet for me tonight. Just as a welcome back, Nick, we've missed you. I should bet that just because of that. Alex, what do you think here? Oilers, Lightning.
Makes perfect sense because he's also on the second line as well, being back in the lineup. So you should definitely be able to get some good value here. I did grab the draw yesterday. Like I said, this is a horrific scheduling spot for the Oilers, 6-9, as you mentioned, along with the fact that because of the Saudi Arabian prince or some royalty leaving D.C., it's the reason why the Capitals were late leaving out of town. So are the Oilers, didn't get to Tampa until 3 a.m. So when you add that in there, this is a dicey spot. I played draw. This is one of my smaller draws on the card. This could be a game where Tampa just names their own score. But like you said, if Edmonton comes out with a big ball energy, maybe they can push early. Tampa can even it up, and this one goes past regulation. That's the way I'm hoping for with the draw plus 340.
All right, draw for Alex here, Oilers, Lightning. David, what do you think here, Edmonton, Tampa Bay?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this is a game to look at the over. I feel like this is one of those games that they don't give the best effort on the D end on the back to back with some late travel in a fast game last night. They just haven't given the best effort on the defensive end. I think they can score some. I think the over is a decent look, but nothing for me.
All right. By the way, as far as the Oilers, Savoy. Going to sprinkle on his prop again for Edmonton in this game. He got robbed last night by Thompson on a very good chance that he had in that game against Washington last night, and certainly has been getting his opportunities. So might be interested there in Matt Savoy as long as he stays on that top line with McDavid. Roslovic's there too, and he's probably worth a look as well. All right, Seattle, Chicago, even money, minus 110, both sides, 5.5 the total in this game. I mean, Chicago undervalued at home. I'm going to take him again. Minus 110. They're playing really good hockey, especially now on home ice. Seattle starting their road trip the other night against Detroit, falling short, losing 4-2 in that game to the Red Wings. And if you actually look at it, Chicago is going to be looking for a little redemption, a little payback here, because they played in Seattle earlier this year and they lost 3-1. They outplayed Seattle. Joey Decord was very good in net that night. I definitely thought they carried the play, but couldn't put the puck past Decord often enough in that 3-1 loss, but played well enough to win. This should be a good goaltending matchup here because we expect Joey Decord for the Kraken and do expect Spencer Knight to be in net for the Blackhawks. But, looking to bounce back from the loss in Seattle. Obviously, Chicago playing well, and Seattle's road record still nothing to write home about this season. We've got the Kraken entering this game 3-6 on the road this season. So, yeah. For me, Chicago, minus 110. Alex, what do you think? Kraken, Blackhawks.
Take what the books give you, and this line is completely off. This should be Hawks minus 130, minus 140. Give me the Hawks here, and I also have a bargain bet in this game.
All right, stay tuned. Bargain bin special from this game later on. David, what do you think here? Kraken, Blackhawks.
Yeah, I love Chicago here. I think Alex is right. I think the Blackhawks are still being a little bit too much judged to their expected numbers. And I don't think it quite accounts for how great their shooting is. I mean, you have Bedard with half a foot of space and just pulling off the nicest wrist or top corner. And it's hard to say that's worth the amount of expected goals that they're giving him. And this helps when you got Spencer Knight in net. I mean, he's locked down. They're getting in front of all these shots, so I think that helps them a little bit. So yeah, I think the Blackhawks have been pretty grossly underrated this last little bit, and I'm pretty low on the Kraken. They've lost expected goals in 5 of their last 6, and of course at that reverse meeting in Seattle, the expected goals at 5-on-5 were 3.5 to 1.9 for the Blackhawks. I think this is a great spot for them.
Yeah, two things that have really improved with the Hawks over that time, and even going back to, like I said, when they played last. Their passing has gotten a lot better. They've been much cleaner with moving the puck around toward one another. But they've also, like you said, been blocking shots and keeping active sticks defensively. That's been the biggest upgrade we've seen throughout this whole year. The defense has gotten better because they're clogging up lanes. They're taking away passing lanes, taking away shooting lanes from teams. That's something that they had not been able to do over the last couple of years. And so, that's adding to that. And that's why we're seeing those better shooting chances, because they're moving the puck well, but we're also seeing, like I said, Knight making better saves and, getting some better looks and chances to make good saves because of how well the blue liners in front are keeping those sticks active.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, they've improved in so many areas. Team toughness, sticking up for one another. Defensively, they've made so many strides forward. Yeah, once in a while they still give up. They're like Anaheim a lot, both of those teams, where once in a while they get hemmed in and they do give up some. But like I said, they've still gotten a lot better. They don't have they're not just fucking getting their heads caved in their own zone for the whole fucking game like it did last year. At times with the Hawks. And you could say the same thing about Anaheim. So, like I said, definite big-time improvement. Blashill and Quenneville with their respective teams deserve a lot of credit, no question. All right, Vegas and Utah. We've got Vegas minus 115, slight road favorites here in this game. Total sitting at 6 across the board. This is it. You can't have a strong feeling on everything. I mean, just because Vegas has been good to the first period over, maybe I'll sprinkle something on that. But really, other than that, I don't have much here. I mean, Vegas, credit to them. They beat the Rangers 3-2. We'll see if they can carry that over, but they've been kind of inconsistent. Utah's, I don't want to back Utah. I can tell you that. It's either fade Utah or pass for me right now with the way they've been playing. These are gut-wrenching losses they've suffered here. This week, when you think about the fact that Anaheim, they had led, gave up the tying goal with 5 seconds left and lost in overtime. And then they come back from a 2-0 deficit against San Jose, tie the game, and then you lose on the Macklin Celebrini hat-trick goal in overtime against the Sharks the other night. So those are two just soul-sucking losses. You're not playing great, but you are going back home to the Delta Center where you have a very strong home record this year. So that's probably going to pump the brakes for me taking Vegas. My lean is Vegas. I just don't want anything to do with the Mammoth right now. But it's just going to be a lean there. Pass on the side, maybe a small sprinkle for me on the first period over here in this game. We'll go to Alex in a minute. We'll start with David here. Vegas, Utah.
Yeah, I got nothing here either. I think these are both teams that I was kind of looking to buy. They're kind of both at probably the closer to the bottom of their value. I think they're both playing a little bit better than their results. Utah's been a little unfortunate with overtime results, and of course the late choke the other night with a few seconds left. I would probably lean to Vegas, but no play for me.
Yeah, Braden Bowman, absolutely. Got to bet it. Braden Bowman, man, he's one of my favorite props tonight. Like I said, we've seen what he's been able to do for the Vegas Golden Knights up on the top line with Eichel and close shave. Barbashev getting that opportunity on that top line. So, like I said, great value still with him and his props at the moment. Alex, anything here you like? Vegas, Utah.
This is going to be either a live game or just a pass. Right now, it's a pass pregame, but this is one if I might watch and jump in and bet something live, and I'll put that on Patreon.
New York Rangers, Colorado Avalanche next up. Colorado minus 200, home favorites. Total here sitting at 6 across the board. Of course, the big, controversy. It always seems to be something with the Rangers. We thought maybe the controversies were over after Peter Laviolette got fired and after the season of just absolute, abysmal season, nightmare season of last year. And then there's everyone fixating on basically, and it was bad if you watched it, JT Miller quitting on a play last game for the New York Rangers against Vegas. And yeah, it was pretty bad. And that's your captain doing that. It's a horrible look. The optics were awful. And I'm sure if JT Miller is honest with himself, he knows he's got to be better than that. As a professional, as a captain of the team, you can't be showing that piss poor of an effort, on a particular play like that. That was rather jaw-dropping to see that. So what's he got as far as a response is concerned? The New York Rangers, to be honest, they were right there in that game. They ended up only losing 3-2. It was a competitive game against Vegas. We'll see how they fare here, trying to bounce back. Colorado's rolling. They're 7-0-2 at home. They haven't lost in regulation at home. Both of their losses at home have been in overtime or a shootout. Certainly playing well, as is Scott Wedgwood, who is going to get the start in net for the Avalanche once again here tonight. Igor Shesterkin will get the nod as well for the Rangers. It looks like for the Avalanche, Big Val Nichushkin right now listed as day-to-day for them, or week-to-week still with the lower body injury, but apparently he's starting, to close in on a return after missing the last 2 games, but looks like he's going to miss this game once again. This is a very interesting game. Colorado's on a first period overrun of 10-2. So for that reason, I will take first period over, just first period over, not the full game over. But what I'm also going to take is be careful with Colorado here. They're feeling themselves. They're playing great. They've won all these games, but they haven't played in a while, and they've won a bunch of games now on here at home and just overall. Do they get a little, content now? And maybe they're just not playing their absolute best. And if you look at series history, the New York Rangers have been a major thorn in Colorado's backside going into this matchup. 6 straight head-to-head meetings between the Rangers and the Avalanche have been decided by 1 goal. That's right. 6 straight have been decided by 1 goal, and 5 of the last 6 meetings between these teams have gone past regulation. That is simply a draw history that I am not passing up, especially when what I got it at earlier today was plus 390 on this draw between the Rangers and the Avs. Have to bet it. 5 of the last 6 head-to-heads, Rangers versus Avs, have gone past regulation, and 6 straight decided by 1 goal. So the one game that didn't go to overtime or regulation was still a 1-goal game between these 2 teams. So that's a great draw price, plus 390. Had to take it. Alex, what do you think? Rangers, Avs.
That's a fantastic price. You can still get plus 360. So that's good at 390, but I definitely will be on the draw, except based off of this history here. And this is one where I can also wait for the over by effect in game, try and get 5.5, get a better adjusted price on that. I'm seeing minus 135, 140 for the over 1.5. So I definitely will be hitting that live, that first period over, but I might dabble and grab a little bit of full game over as well. But definitely on the draw here. Like I said, that's a fantastic price considering the history.
Yeah, no doubt. Just based on how tight the games have been between these 2 teams, 6 straight decided by 1 goal, 5 of them going to overtime or a shootout. Yeah, I definitely had to take that price. You just seeing that. What do you think here, David? Rangers, Avs.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna donate some money on the Rangers tonight. I think this is a good spot for them. I think the Avalanche have, like you were saying, I think this is where they get a little content. I've been taking them a lot, and they've just been dominant. I mean, just dominant over everybody. But you got the Rangers with some questions about motivation and effort with JT Miller. I think that they show up for this one. It's hard to not be pumped up for a game against the best team in the league right now. I think getting the Rangers above plus 170 here is a good bet, and it'll probably lose like 7-1. But I think it's a close one. I think they keep it a 1-goal game.
That sometimes works. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, when you call it a donation before the game starts, I think it's going to do a little better. But it's hard to bet against the Avalanche. But I think if there's a spot to do it, I think this is it.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't have the guts to I have the guts to take the draw, so maybe I should sprinkle on it, because obviously if it goes to overtime or a shootout, it's a coin flip at that point. So maybe I should be on the Rangers. But yeah, I just like the draw a lot more. Yeah, I just like the. Now it is worth noting, Colorado has lost 2 games at home this year, 7-0-2, and both of those losses were beyond regulation. So that's why, to me, there's still a chance we can get this thing past 60 minutes. Yep. All right, good stuff. Gavin Brindley, good value for Gavin Brindley. He's on the second line tonight for the Colorado Avalanche. So liking the prop with him here in this game tonight for the Colorado Avalanche. All right, next up as we continue along here, we've got Ottawa and Anaheim. This is a weird spot, weird scheduling situation, because Ottawa has been off since they lost to the LA Kings, and that was Saturday. So they haven't played since Saturday. They're on a ton of rest, should be ready to rock. And here's Anaheim playing back-to-back in both games at home. Back-to-back after playing Boston last night and winning 4-3. So weird scheduling here. Weird scheduling dynamics. Ottawa minus 130, road favorites, 6 the total. Mrazek is going to get the start here for the Ducks on the back-to-back. No surprise there, given it was Lukas Dostal last night. Linus Ullmark for Ottawa here in this game. I like over by Fecta. Ottawa's a first period over team of late. I think it's 9-2, the run for the first period over for Ottawa. Full game over, I think, gets there. The last 2 meetings between these teams have gone over the total. So everything points to goals. Mrazek, and plus I like Ottawa coming off a shutout home loss to LA 1-0. So they're going to be looking to be aggressive offensively, get their offense going after getting blanked by the Kings on Saturday. So I think Ottawa pushes for goals. Of course, Anaheim's been very good at home, scoring at least 3 goals. They've been trending more toward overs at home more often than not by a dominating margin, but still more overs than not at home. So I like the over by Fecta here. And for me, I'm not betting against Anaheim. No, just not, especially as a home dog. But I'm pumping the brakes on taking them here tonight. Just sticking to the over by Fecta. Alex, what do you think? Ottawa, Anaheim?
Yeah, we've seen Ottawa kind of cool off a little bit as far as the draws go. They had a little run where it was like 4 or 5 of 6, but now the last couple of games, except we did see 1-0 against LA. That was one that really kind of felt like it should have gone into overtime. But this is one where, like I said, with their rest and Anaheim the second of back-to-backs, I'm just going with the first period over. I bet that already, minus $1.30. Like I said, Ottawa's been on a nice run with those first period overs. Didn't take the draw, didn't take a side or anything else, just first period over.
All right, first period over here for Alex with the Senators and the Ducks. David, what are you liking here, Ottawa, Anaheim?
Yeah, I think this is a great spot for the Senators. The Ducks are off that back-to-back last night. No Dostal in net. I think Mrazek's a pretty decent-sized downgrade from him. The Senators have had 4 nights to think about that 1-0 shutout home loss to the Kings. I thought they were the better team in that game, and analytics agreed. I think it's a really good spot for the Senators here, honestly. I think the Ducks are due for a little bit of regression. We've seen it a little bit. I think they struggle with a team that can slow it down and keep it tight here. I think the Senators win in a close one.
All right, good stuff. As far as props here for this game, I think there were a couple, one for each team that I was looking at. For Ottawa, right now it's David Perron, or it's not David Perron, Ridley Gregg rather, who's up on the second line with Cousins and Zetterlund. I see Hal mentioning Michael Amadio. Michael Amadio's cooled off of late, so we had that little run where he was scoring for a bit. He's gone 3 games without a goal. That being said, a lot of his goals have been on the road, and he's back out west. This was a guy that played in the Western Conference for a bit, so maybe it's a night for him to find the back of the net. We shall see about that. For the Anaheim Ducks, when you look at their lineup right now, I mean, it could just be so many different people, or for Anaheim, it would be so many different people that can step up and find the back of the net for them. One person in particular, too, is getting a little bit more ice time, getting more comfortable since he's been back, Ryan Strome. Maybe you could see him finding the back of the net. That's a good one, Terry Ray Vegas. Yeah, Halliday for Ottawa, getting the call up from Belleville. He's going to be down on the 4th line, so that's my one concern. Is he going to get the ice time to be able to find the back of the net? But he does have good numbers down in the American League since getting this call up to the Senators, so why not? Stephen Halliday here for the Ottawa Senators, maybe a little dabble for him to find the back of the net here tonight. All right, LA, San Jose. LA minus 180, road favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. I mean, wash, rinse, repeat. You're going to throw out San Jose at these prices. How am I going to turn down taking them? Plus 150. And think about how this spot is tricky for LA. Now you could say, well, they lost their last game against Washington. Bounce back spot for the Kings. I don't like these situations when you started this road trip, you're rolling along, you won every game on this road trip, you finally lost a game, and now you got to fly all the way to San Jose for this one little stopover to end the long trip before you finally go home. I'm not convinced we get A-game stuff out of the LA Kings here tonight. Again, they've had a great road trip, and even if they lose tonight, it's still been a great road trip. They're 4-1 so far on it. They won against Pittsburgh, Montreal, Toronto, Ottawa. Like I said, they had that 2-1 loss to Washington, but I hate these spots for teams where they're out east, they stop over, one game, on the road out west, and then they finally go home. I think that's tricky. Anton Forsberg, don't trust him. He's in net for the Kings. Okay, he had a great start against Ottawa Saturday, shutting out the Senators, but I figured that was his step-up spot, playing his old team. You figured he'd play, want to play well in that game, and he did. But his numbers before that have not been good for the LA Kings this year, the times he's been in net. And I've been waiting to see if Askarov would get confirmed as the starter, and he is confirmed as the starter, and he has been lights out. It's been terrific lately for the San Jose Sharks. So Forsberg coming into this game with a sub 900 save percentage, which isn't great. So yeah, SJ Sharky plus 150. I think they're live again. And another thing to keep in mind, they lost San Jose to LA last month 4-3. They dominated that game. San Jose outshot LA 43-20.
Yep.
They deserved such a better fate. I think they get payback tonight. Live dog again, the San Jose Sharks. Alex, what do you think here? Kings, Sharks.
I remember that game. That was the ESPN game, if I'm not mistaken, late night. And this is definitely a great price for the Sharks, especially when you have Askarov in net. And you got a Kings team where it's going to be, he said Forsberg tonight. Copley is his backup. Did not have Kemper even travel to San Jose. He's staying behind, but he will play the next game. So that's just something to kind of maybe keep a note on moving forward. But like I said, this is a spot where Sharks at a dog, you got to take them. And like I said, this is a bad spot for the Kings. Like I said, that travel. We've seen San Jose get caught up in these spots before, out east, and then having to play LA or Anaheim or Vegas one game before coming home and losing. So this is something where the West Coast teams, they get screwed with this. Like I said, schedule makers can only do so much. Like we talked about with Edmonton and how many games are condensed, especially when you have these condensed games. You have these weird spots where these teams going from east to west have to come home and play a spot or play something kind of close to home and end up losing that game. So give me the Sharks here plus 150.
All right, David, what do you think here? LA, San Jose.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think this is a great spot to bet the Sharks. I remember that game. I had the Kings in that game, watching that primetime game. You absolutely dominate. I think the expected goals in that game were 5.8 to 1.6. The Sharks were a far better team in that game. You get the same matchup here at home. I think Forsberg is a pretty sizable downgrade from Kemper. Yeah, I think this is a great spot to bet the dog with the Sharks.
Yeah, no argument here. Yeah, the one prop, yeah, if I were to take someone on LA, you're right, Laferriere's been good. One of their better players lately. Obviously for San Jose, there's always, Macklin Celebrini's just riding an ultimate heater right now. So just continuing to take props with him. Not the worst idea in the world. All right, last game, Dallas, Vancouver. Dallas minus 140, road favorites. 6.5 the total in this game. This is one of the best streaks going. 10 straight overs, as we talked about the other day for the Vancouver Canucks. It was 9 straight overs, and then they played Florida, and it was an 8-5 final score. Now, I am concerned that maybe it takes allowing 8 goals to finally wake the Vancouver Canucks the fuck up into playing some defense. That being said, so maybe tonight they dig in defensively, but I got to see it before I believe it. Lankinen will be in net for the Canucks. I believe it's going to be Jake Ottinger for the Dallas Stars. Dallas off the loss to the Islanders. Dallas has been trending to the over in their games off losses the last few times they've lost. So, yeah, this is a pretty straightforward, cut and dried over bet for me. I actually got 6 over 6 minus 120. I still sign off on 6.5. These games are flying over for Vancouver. Like, their defense is just struggling so much right now. They can't keep the puck out of their net, but they can score. And with Quinn Hughes back now, that will bolster the moving the puck up the ice and maybe get them a little bit more opportunity to improve themselves at the offensive end of the ice. So, yeah, over for me, Stars and Canucks. Lean Dallas, but I like the over a lot more. Alex, what do you think here? Dallas, Vancouver.
So I grabbed this draw as well yesterday. I got this one at plus 340, but I do like Dallas in this spot. So I'm going to go Dallas tied with the over 4.5. You can get that even money at BetMGM already preset, or you can parlay that together at your book of your choosing. But I like Dallas in this spot, but I think it could be close. We've seen some wonky games with these two teams. So did play the draw, but I'm going with Dallas parlay with the over 4.5 to knock that down and get that over at even a cheaper price.
Yeah, no doubt. And like I said, for Vancouver, you'd think coming off an 8-5 loss, you'd be chomping at the bit to bounce back here in this game. But boy, oh boy, you're coming off the long road. Well, not a long road trip. It was only 3 games, but Carolina, Tampa, Florida. You did the Southeastern swing, and now you're back home. First game off that. So it's not easy. Not an easy scheduling spot either for the Canucks to try to bounce back in. David, what do you think here? Stars, Canucks.
Yeah, I like the Stars in the over a lot too. I think you could honestly just do Stars in the over 6.5 parlay. The Canucks have given up 5 expected goals average in their last 5 games per game. They've given up 5 goals per game in the last 5 games. Their defense is in a little bit of trouble. They're playing quick games, which I think if the Stars can open it up, I think that they could put in 5 or 6 here. I think I'm playing both the over and the Stars at -140, and I played 6.5 at even money. Yeah, I think they can. I think they scored a lot of goals tonight.
You know what? I'm probably going to I'm already on the over, but I'm probably going to bet Dallas too, but I'm going to go the team total route. 3 plus 100 even money team total for Dallas over 3.5.
Yeah,
That's way better than
they're also off that
Yep.
They're also off that tough loss to the Islanders where you think you tied it up. I'm sure they have a little bit of frustration going into the next one. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be the Canucks defenders tonight.
Yeah, the Canucks defenders. I'm wondering with what I've seen from the blue line. If there aren't better options right now at the Abbotsford Canucks right now for this blue line at the moment for this team.
Right.
Because you're right, it's been a dog's breakfast defensively for the Canucks for a while now.
You can get plus 220 for that if you like that Stars with the over 6.5. You're talking about.
Yeah, I like it. I think take a shot tonight to parlay the two. You're right, Dallas and over 6.5, good plus money. A little boost, return on investment, little boost your ROI. If you take a shot with that and it hits.
I think they're very correlated too. I think if the Stars win this game, and the Canucks have shown they've put some offense up the last few games too. Yeah, I know they put up 5 against Florida. They have not had an issue with the game flying right now.
No, they have not. And like I said, with Dallas off a loss, I find they're a little bit more assertive and aggressive as far as their offensive philosophy is concerned. So I would not be surprised to see that again here tonight. Should be interesting. By the way, for those wondering, Mikko Rantanen will play tonight. He is not going to get any supplemental discipline for the incident with Alexander Romanov the other night against the New York Islanders. So that will not affect his status. He will play here tonight for the Dallas Stars in that game. You look, boy, oh boy, as far as props, it's good. The good news for Vancouver is, they've had injuries, obviously, but the good news is Connor Garland, he missed the game against Florida, but he will be back. And believe it or not, they miss him because not only can he chip in offensively, but he's obviously one of the hardest working players on the team. So that's good to see him back for the Vancouver Canucks here tonight. Good stuff. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. Appreciate it very much. Sandy, I appreciate it, but don't worry. No one's forced to put a gun to my head saying, Ian, you have to do this show when you feel like shit.
We're trying to talk a little more to keep his voice.
Believe me, I hate missing shows. Maybe I should. Maybe I shouldn't be doing the shows. Probably shouldn't. But like I said, I'm powering through it. That's just me. I don't like missing stuff unless I can't breathe. I feel like I got to be here. So there you go.
Who doesn't love his voice too? I think he could be doing audiobooks and
I appreciate
stuff like that.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
We couldn't miss that.
Someone said you sound like Dan. No, Dan Schulman's got 10 times the voice I do. I appreciate it. It's very kind for someone to say that. But yeah, my voice is okay, but it's no Dan Schulman. That is for sure. But appreciate you guys hanging with me when I'm not 100%. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Check out wizardsportspicks.com. Great roster of handicappers. Check out my Beyond the Lines video that I recorded for today as well on the Wizard Sports Picks YouTube channel. I'm there, Alex B. Smith, Matt Robinson. Check out all the great handicappers there, wizardsportspicks.com. 5-0 sweep. But my best work, I'm telling you, when I feel terrible and I'm sick, I do my best work, I think. 5-0 with the premium card.
Happens like that sometimes.
Yeah, 5-0 sweep with the premium card at wizardsportspicks.com last night. Hopefully we can build on that. And check out patreon.com/iceguys. Goalie charts, totals charts, all the bonus content. Of course, daily cards, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. Just $10 per month. And we will have, before the end of November, it's coming very soon, our exclusive live betcast for Patreon members only for the month of November. It will be announced the day of the betcast, as kind of going to surprise people with it. So stay tuned for that. It will be before the end of the month. So make sure you get on board right now to be part of that exclusive live betcast coming up toward the end of November. $10 per month. Your subscription goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping us going long term. So check it out. $10 per month. Patreon.com/iceguys.
I think it's safe to say we can give a spoiler that it's not going to be on Thanksgiving. But in saying that, Thanksgiving is here, which means it's holiday time. Christmas is around the corner. Definitely want to check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. We've got hoodies, we've got caps, we've got T-shirts, we've got mugs, we've got all kinds of wonderful items with our beautiful logo on it. And you can grab it right now over at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, bargain bin special of the night. Best bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
Where the kings and queens shop.
All right, thanks to all our sponsors, including Royal Cannabis, royalcannabisshop.com, 20% off, promo code ICE Guys. Same state as where David's located, North Kakalaki. All right, bargain bin special of the night for this Thursday. It's a huge card to choose from. Alex B. Smith, we'll start with you as always. Bargain bin special of the night.
Yeah, let's skate on out to the west side of Chicago. We got the Blackhawks taking on the Seattle Kraken, and I'm looking for a little bit of art tonight. Artem Lashunov. Anytime goal scorer, you can get him at plus 1,000. It's 10-1 in a couple of different shops. I can get that. He's been a guy who's, like I said, chipping in, been scoring, getting a lot of points, getting a lot of assists, but I like him to get a goal tonight. Artem Lashunov, anytime goal scorer. That's my Thursday bargain bin special.
There you go. Going with Artem Levshunov here for Chicago for a bargain bin special of the night for Alex B. Smith of the Chicago Blackhawks. David, what are you thinking here? Bargain bin special.
Yeah, we got a little unlucky last week. Almost got the plus 800, if not for the late comeback for the minus 1.5 parlay. But no player props I like tonight, so I got a little bit of a cop out. I got the Canadians alt line minus 2.5, plus 340 at Bet365. We talked earlier about how much we love the spot for the Canadians. I think if the Capitals don't show up, I think they don't show up at all. I think this could be a bit of a blowout for the Canadians, and if after the playoffs last year, I think if they get up by a few goals, I don't see them really backing off at all. I think they keep the pedal down, assuming they get up by a few goals. I think they can win this one by 3 or 4.
Wow, I like it. Look at that alternative puck line.
Habs by a field goal.
His bargain bin special. Alouettes over the Commanders. There you go in this game. There you go. Montreal minus 2.5, and that was what, plus 350?
Plus 340.
340, still a good price. Yeah, why not? I get the sense it could be could be, not saying it will be, could be one of those games for Washington tonight where Montreal just gets up early and runs away and hides. We'll see. It's a very tough spot for the Capitals. So I like that choice. Montreal -2.5 plus 340 for David with bargain bin special of the night. My bargain bin special for tonight, just one, and it's going to be Nick Robertson for Toronto, plus 330 for my bargain bin special of the night. Again, getting the opportunities, and he's actually had a track record of scoring against Columbus. In fact, they played earlier this year in Columbus. Nick Robertson scored in that game for the Leafs. So Nick Robertson for Toronto, plus 330 for my bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
Right back to 1901 West Madison. Give me the Hawks minus $1.10. This is a crazy line. It should be a higher favorite, and expect the momentum to roll. It's nighttime. It's mentioned night and net. So give me Chicago here on the money line to get the victory.
There you go. I like it, Chicago. And you're right. I thought that should have been minus 120, 25.
Yeah,
at least, maybe even 30. But to get even money, I like it there. Chicago for Alex with his best bet. David, what do you like for best bet?
Yeah, not much surprise. I'm going back to the Canadians on just the money line. Such a good spot for them. I think they get this done with ease and a good revenge for the playoffs last year. Capitals should be a little bit sluggish off of that quick game win over the Oilers last night. Yeah, I think it's a great spot for the Canadians, bouncing back off 4 straight losses. I think they played pretty well in those losses. Been a little bit unlucky. I think they get this done by 3 or 4.
All right, Montreal minus 130 for David C. with his best bet. For my best bet, we're going to turn it into this edition of Watch a Sick Man Sing. Bleu, blanc, rouge, le Canadien, c'est demain. Bleu, blanc, rouge, le Canadien, le Canadien. Yes, we're on the same best bet as David here tonight. Montreal minus 130 against Washington. Just a home run spot. I think they snapped the losing streak. Capitals rolling in late after a 7-4 win against Edmonton last night. Playoff revenge for the Habs. They get wet right and back on track here tonight. Montreal minus 130 against Washington for my best bet as well for this Thursday card. Great stuff. David, great job as usual. Alex, great job. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. And like I said, time for some rest for this guy. Now after fighting it out here for the last hour. Good stuff. Thanks for tuning in. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week. Monday delayed start, Tuesday to Friday 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms: Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith and David P., I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Thursday. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we'll be back Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.